All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and share. I'm going to give you a 5 minute kind of where we are now and where, then we can have more of an open discussion where you'd like us to be. So let me share my desktop. Okay, does everybody see my desktop? I think I hit share.
There it is.
There we go. All right. So this is kind of where we're heading in the next little while. You'll see a lot of it's sort of completed, but depending on our discussion today, where we end up, I want to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do. So let's just start with the first thing. We do have equipment will be in this new form here now. So when you go to pieces of equipment and look them up, you've got to look up over here. You've got filters over here like we do for everything else. And basically the standard equipment mate with all the different tabs that we had before in the older one are now here working in this one. Um, step one, we do have document management too. So if you're putting documents for your scanning in a document like a work order or a warranty or something for a piece of equipment, we certainly can do that. Second, we do have the work orders themselves as well in a more friendly looking format. This one's a lot easier to use that we found for just dealing with a work order and seeing things. So you have your general, then you can go to your work order lines and add a line. Reading history, you'll get kind of used to this. It's not that hard. And then um, the work order uh, history list. If you load up a history for a work order, I don't know if I've got anything for this one. Let's see what I have out here for equipment. There we go. Nope, not going to load today, but it will eventually when it's totally done. That's why it's not released yet. But we're just letting you know we have work orders. Work orders themselves have also been updated. So uh, basically, this is what your work order. Oh, I just showed this tonight. Then we have the next one we would have would be, believe it was preventive maintenance. This is where we're having our discussion about today because we got started on this and a lot of things just didn't fit well with this mechanism. So we wanted to talk about the different things we have in here, but at some point, I just wanted to kind of give you a quick show and tell of what these are. And then we have the work order calc, which is going to be kind of nice. So you can load up your equipment. Yep, and it figures there's a problem finding it. So my guys did lead me down the windy path. Let me take it back to a couple of months ago. Yep, not going to work today. Okay. Well, anyways, this comes up with a big long list as well as possibly why a work order would come in. So you get a lot more information about what work orders on the calc that will come in, and then you can pick which ones out of this list that you really want to generate the work order for. So it does have and you can filter this list down based on different things. But again, this was just our initial, pass at this. So like it'll be done in, that as we go along. But I wanted, like I said, there's a couple of things we want to deal with. The other thing is meter readings. We got meter readings up. And again, the screen, there's some things in the old I can talk about, but um, my best answer is in the past, meter readings had this huge thing about changing a meter out, which you guys can tell me. I don't think you guys do this very often. It doesn't seem like you would be changing out meters in vehicles and equipment that often that we need to make such a big ass deal out of, every time a meter comes in that's an incorrect meter, we make a new meter, we basically say, for instance, if you have a meter read that comes in October 1st for 99 miles, and then somebody posts a meter reading for September 30th for 105. We think the September 30th rolled over your meter because it was an earlier date with a bigger number. So we think there's a huge rollover in it, and I really don't want to be doing that. We want you to be able to and then to fix it, it was pulling teeth. So basically, what we're trying to do is come up with a better solution that you guys, it makes it easier and do it. Like we see up here, we have we decided to make like maybe a change meter button or something on a meter read, so you can come in and put a specific type of record in here that would be a change. But again, all of our solutions fell short. So I need to understand your world better, guys, to make this happen correctly. So I'm going to go ahead. I can leave the screen up and we can talk, or I can take it down so we can see each other better when we're talking. What do you guys prefer?
What do you want to talk about meter readings?
Nope, we're going to start with a different topic.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I
Nice
tell you
job,
what,
Austin.
I'll leave it up so we can kind of get a feel for it. Okay, so the first topic, guys, is preventive maintenance. I don't know how many of you that are on here are actually using our current system, but if you are, congratulations, you have suffered quite, religiously through the years of Cogitate and are, factoring the system. I want our system to be a lot better than it is. So let's start with on preventive maintenance. The first pain for point is setting up a piece of equipment and the preventive maintenance schedule that it has. Currently, we set up pieces preventive maintenance as based on a piece of equipment solely, and that's all there is. There's no carryover, crossover. So if I have 5 trucks, I got to set it up on all 5 trucks by hand for each individual piece. So talk to me, guys, what you would like it to do.
What copies now, isn't it?
We copied before.
So
Yeah,
it's got a copy feature on it that we really like. So once you set up one record, you just copy it to each truck.
And then you just had to change your hours.
there we can do that. I mean, that's certainly a
It is
valid
that way
solution.
now.
Right, that's that way now. And we could continue with that. But the pain I've had with people is the following. A new person comes in and he doesn't know what to copy from, as well as there's a potential new schedule you're putting on every single piece of equipment or every single, truck that you have. That's a GMC truck that you're adding as a preventive maintenance, and you still have to go through that and add them one at a time to it. So, those are some of the pain points we have because you can't just copy again afterwards because that messes it up.
I'm not sure I follow that.
If you currently have a preventive maintenance item that you already have set up and then you copy another one on top of it, as I recall, it adds to the what's on that one already. It doesn't replace it.
So why would you copy it
I
over
I
top of it?
had I had a place where they had their trucks were their semi trucks were set up with 3 preventive maintenance cycles, and then they were adding a fourth for something new that they decided they wanted to preventive maintenance with. I think it was a tire rotation they wanted to have in there that they didn't have before. So they went to add it to their first one, and then they wanted to copy that first one to all the rest of the trucks, and that did not work out well.
And that wouldn't work before,
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just create a group and then you create your preventive maintenance schedule based off the group or the type of equipment, and then when you add a piece of equipment there, the only thing that you have to worry about is what hours it's at or what miles it's at.
Yeah. So if I take a brand new piece of equipment and I add it to this group, or I add the group to the piece of equipment, one of the two, whichever way we do it, um, then the group is there. The other issue we've had is, and I don't remember if our current one did this, does our current one do if I do preventive maintenance if I have a oil change and then I have a bumper to bumper, does the bumper and bumper automatically make the oil change be done or not? In other words, there's no relationship, I think, between preventive maintenance items.
I don't think there necessarily needs to be.
Okay. Because that was another thing that's been asked for before, was that they set it up as, you know, they have a very frequent oil change, but then they have a more infrequent bumper to bumper. But when they bring in the bumper to bumper, they want to make sure they do an oil change at the same time. That was so that they don't bring it in this week and then bring it in next week.
Right.
Yeah, we got line items, but you gotta select each one of your line items.
Yeah, this is where I'm, it shouldn't have to be that complicated, is my point. At least I don't think it should be.
Don't we do the 150 as line item 1, 500 as line item 2?
Yeah, we do a 150, a 450, a 900, 1800.
So we do it as line items. So your 150 hour versus your 450 are by line item 1, 2. So if you come in for the 500-hour change, it's also going to generate the 150-hour change because it's going to be line item 1.
But it doesn't automatically do that, does it? You have to manually add the line item 1 then.
You gotta add the line items, correct?
Yeah. But if we set something up where like every time it did the 450, we automatically also do the line 1 like as a relationship, if you would. Then it would be that'd be easier then.
Yep. So your
So
progressive services,
So basically what we do is like every 100 hours, we do a grease job. And then every 300 hours, we do an oil change and a grease job.
Right.
so you
So
have your grease is line item 1, and then your 300 to be line item 2.
Right, but let's say you're at the 275 mark, you're at the 75 hours on your 1 hour grease mark, but then you actually hit the mark for the grease and oil change mark because they don't always stay right on equal, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Because you probably have like a date range in there as well. So you want to say we at least want to do this every 90 days. So if we hit a 90 day, then the hours mark, but you see what I'm saying? Would you guys want something like that? Is that something you would want to have in there, or is that more complex than what you think you're going to need to maintain the equipment?
It sounds more complex than what we would use. We pretty much ours are all staged. So the 150 to the 4, we do 3 150s on our third 150. We're doing our oil and filter. We don't care if we went a little over on our 150. We base it when it was due,
Right.
so that when the next one's due, it's due at the same time. So if we did our 150 at 150, we did our second 150 at 350. We did it 50 hours late. We would not do our 450 50 hours late. We would do our 150 and our 450 at the 450 mark again.
Okay.
We'd base it off when we should have done it. We wouldn't add to the hours or when we
But
did
how do you
it
know
last.
to do that? I'm glad you can, suss that out, but how would you know to do that? That's the question. Because we're getting guys that come in and they look at this and they can't, it's Greek and, they can't suss that out, but you've been here long enough that you can.
Isn't it by hours?
I guess
on the-
probably. Honestly, I don't use the work order calculation, even though it's there and it keeps track for me. I have a separate log, so I know when each
Okay,
service is
so
due.
How
So I
can you,
base off
so
that.
you're not really using the preventive maintenance then, other than you're manually generating the work orders.
Correct.
Is there a way we can figure out a way we can get you to be able to use it? That's is what I'm at. I get a lot of places like you, they use pieces of it or they don't, or they've completely gone to a whole new product that's out there on the web that, does it all for them. And I don't understand why we can't have something that does it all for you.
I guess you'd want your base services not to be your smaller services not to be affected by the fact that you did it a little late. You'd want it based off when you should have done it instead of when you did it. So that your progressive services, your bigger ones, don't get further out.
Okay.
I don't know how to word that other than that, so
That's
if
fine.
you,
Hey, guys, you're not programmers. That's my job to filter that through.
you know,
But I need to know what you think, and that's just one. I'm not hearing from anybody else.
Well, and the other thing is to be able to differentiate which service you're doing.
Okay.
Like I said, every 100 hours we do a grease job, and every 300 hours we'll do an oil change. Well, when you run the preventive maintenance report, even though you have those two line items in there, it's not really giving you, um, I guess, instead of going back and looking and trying to figure it out, it's not giving you a definite answer to which service that you need to perform.
So if on the um this one, we came in here and we showed you in here which service we're doing, which ones need to be done, you could pick then from here, not just what vehicles need to come in, but then just vehicles and the services you would want to be performed.
Right. I mean, you got a list of your PMs, and you start looking at them. As you're looking at your list, you've got 5 of them that need oil changes, and then 2 of them that need grease jobs. Well, which ones are you gonna bring in to be able to schedule it?
Think that you would want, I mean, let's face it, we're not getting these things in here exactly when they need to be done, right? So if the service technician or the shop foreman is looking at what is upcoming, and we're looking at an asset, well, if you want to look at that asset and what's upcoming for that asset. So if you're close on a grease, but oil changes, do you want to add them to the same work order so that service technician can, get them both completed and get that piece of equipment back out the door and not have to worry about it for another 100 hours or whatever.
Right.
Will cogitate track mileage without manually entering it?
Well, that's a good question. It's kind of like you're asking, can you tell me how much cell phone usage you're using without you using your cell phone? Somewhere I got to know it. How am I going to pull mileage in? I mean, we get it from Fuel Meter, we get it from a variety of places. We're also going to be adding it to Samsara. That's part of today's discussion at the
Well,
end.
that's my question, because you're relying on drivers to do their part and put their mileage in at the fuel pump, or write it down and hand it to your shop foreman or hand it to whoever.
Right.
And that just doesn't work.
That's
With-
my point. Yes. But we don't rely simply on mileage. You probably are aware, but maybe not. We have a variety of other mechanisms. Of course, we have dates. Dates don't really lie. But we also have usage where every time somebody puts it on their time card that I use this vehicle in the number of hours, you could base preventive maintenance on that. That's going to always happen. That's going to always be put in all the time. Those are usually there. We also have fuel. We can say how much fuel was added to this piece of equipment, because you eventually have to post how much fuel you put in for the different pieces of equipment. So for things that don't have mileage, like chainsaws or handheld snow plows or things like that, preventive maintenance can still be done on those because you don't have a way there's no meter to read, if you would. You can simply, but so we do have the ability to do that as well in our system, which gets me, to a question about the different types of meters. We've set it up to be a little bit generic, and I think that complicates it. We're thinking about just putting in the 5 different meter types, and that's all we're going to support. And then when you pick a preventive maintenance, you pick one of the 5 items. Or, you checkbox all of the 5 meters you want to manage for that preventive maintenance and how you would do it. So let's see.
Physically have to put in the miles and the hours.
Yeah.
Samsara can't.
So like here, we have the 3 different meter types at this point. I want to change this to say it's not just one meter type, because we have it every day. We always have days in there. So basically what I want to do is change this. So like you might have hours, but then if you want to do the same thing based on mileage, you got to add it again. And that's where I'm like, I don't really want to do that. And then we have usage, which is like what I just talked about. We're going to be adding fuel and there's one more. I can't, it's at the top of my head, I can't remember. But we're gonna add one, one more type to the thing. And then I just wanted check boxes here. So if you want to do it by hours, you click it here and then you say what's the how many hours do I want to do? And if I want to do it by mileage, then you click how many, what's the difference in mileage, things like that. So I wanted to make this a lot less, X meters and X days and get rid of the X out of there and make this a little bit more. The other question we had was how many people really use the exclude months and, for the breaking things out of specific seasons. Does anybody really use that at all?
No,
So
no.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I thought, while it's a neat feature to say, look, I don't want to be doing any oil changes to my mowers in the winter, just because their days came up. Um, I think that's got to be something that's, we want to think about a better way of doing it.
Not show any mileage.
I mean, for us, our assets are either based off hours or miles. Not,
Right.
we don't include them
Well-
both. And if it's not automatic and if it's manual entry, what we found is there's just too much of a lag in there and it's too complicated. So we just totally walked away just because of the manual entry.
Okay. So if we had the Samsara that will pull in your mileage for you every day, if you
Perfect.
have Samsara,
it works awesome.
yeah. Are
That's
you
what-
using their preventive maintenance then at this point?
on
Yes.
Samsara or on Cogitate?
On Samsara, are you using their preventive maintenance to manage the fleet?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to see that at some point. If you get a chance after this, we can maybe
Yeah,
hook
no
up and I can take a look at it.
We tried out their work order system because the Cogitate work order system is not exactly what we're looking for either.
Okay,
We want something that we can either print it off and go back and add the stuff and hand it to the mechanics, so that way it's all spelled out for them.
Right.
Exactly what needs to happen. We have a couple guys at night that we can leave 3-4 work orders on the table. They can just get that stuff done, turn them back into us in the morning, and we take it from there. All the drivers' issues are recorded on Samsara.
right.
It could generate a work order off of all that. It streamlines everything. I mean, it would enter the mileage for the unit number. It would enter all the issues that they're having with it that they
Yep.
wrote down, or
Be on their DVIR, or they could, the drivers write up their own DVIR, or we could see what they have. The miles based and the hour thing is awesome because it's instant. We don't have to wait for a piece of paper to come across the desk and manually put it in that, all right, now it's gone so many miles. And
and if we don't get right to doing a PM sheet right away, so all the guys know, we can actually just go into Samsara and look, and it goes from most severe over or closest due to least severe. So you just scroll down the list, and we've made up different schedules for different services, pieces of equipment, everything like that. And it's actually worked very well.
Okay, so here's the $64 question. Should we just somehow work with Samsara and give everybody the same thing? Is anybody against, would be against that? And we just don't have preventive maintenance in our system? We just tie to theirs?
We have talked with Samsara, and they said that their program is user friendly with every program out there, and they want to be involved in Cogitate.
Right. No, I worked with Sam. I've already talked with them. I mean, we've already got a conversation going and a thing going. But the question is, the part would be is, we could do that and then just say, this is our solution. The problem is then if somebody doesn't want to pay for Samsara, they don't have preventive maintenance.
Right.
However, at this point, hardly anybody's using what we have. So, that's where I'm coming down to, should I spend the effort to put all this together
I mean, we would use it.
Yes, please.
My thing is yes, I absolutely do it, but I'm, one of whoever.
So when you with Samsara, can you put in like the codes for your inventory? And if you were to like you want to go back about a month ago and say, okay, I know I put a certain part on this truck. Can you put the codes of your inventory code in there, and will it show that?
I don't know. I wouldn't know if Samsara would allow you to do that within their part, but what we were thinking about doing was bringing down, we have within our system, we do ties to work orders and equipment and inventory through all of our other barcode gun and everything else. I wouldn't want to lose that. So I was thinking about bringing down the Samsara work order number and using that as an open or close based on their stuff. And we would just you still be able to see it in Cogitate, but you wouldn't be able to enter one.
We don't have a preventative maintenance button, so I don't know, like, he's looking at stuff that doesn't exist yet. Like, their equipment doesn't look like ours.
That guy, he just showed up on my Facebook page.
This guy?
Yeah,
That's
this
creepy.
morning. As a friend,
Still, that's creepy.
Like,
As far as
You
content
know,
goes, when you create a service log,
I think,
note that.
this is interesting.
can they hear me? No, I just realized I may be talking out loud.
No, we can hear you. But the question is first of all, when you say you don't have a preventive maintenance button, doesn't make sense. And I don't know from your name, I can't place what road commission you're with. Oh, he muted his mic.
Hey, George.
Yeah. Hey, Brian.
So we have Samsara here at Ontonagon, and I've
Mhm.
talked to you about, I guess we've gone through the preventative maintenance path with Samsara. It's our greasers actually have set it up in the system. It's just super easy to do. They group all our assets. They've set up all the preventative maintenance schedules. They're in charge of, getting the vehicle scheduled and everything. It really works slick. What I think, my hope is at some point where we can kind of have a dividing line is when you actually get into a work order for a truck. Something that I need to, tie, because our inventory, which is not really the best shape, is in Cogitate, and we're using my work. So ultimately, if I could have, work orders that are generated off of, trouble codes, breakdowns, things like that in Cogitate, where the guys can go utilize my work, they can utilize the inventory system, and then save the preventative maintenance for the Samsara side. To me, that's kind of a clean break, and it makes a little more sense than trying to have you duplicate the preventative maintenance thing. Because
this is my point. I don't know if we want to, like I said, the issue though becomes some places don't want Samsara. They don't, so now they're looking for another package. That's where I'm at.
Right.
Because we kind of have something now, but we're going to be, if I don't keep going, I'm not going to, I'm not going to try to have something here at all. Then that's the thing. I don't want to spin my wheels for just, one or two places of, they can find, there's plenty of other software out there to do it.
Found, to be honest, we found that the maintenance system that Samsara was offering was super expensive, and I didn't want to pay that. I would have actually probably gone to like a Fleetio or something like that, which is a heck of a lot cheaper on a per asset basis. I tried to talk about it, and they just said, no, this is what we're going to charge. And we said, okay, and then we're just going to stick with Cogitate. And unfortunately, right now it's all, heavy manual entry. My shop foreman's doing a lot of that. So that's where we're kind of hoping that
I want to get away from that. So again, then you're going back to saying you still want Cogitate to have some kind of a preventive maintenance cycle to it.
Something would be fine. I mean, like I said, if people can't do Samsara, then yeah, it's a great tool, because it's there's not a whole lot of costs associated with it if you already have Cogitate, you know?
Right. The biggest thing I get for most people is just being able to get the meter reads in on a regular basis because obviously preventive maintenance has to work off of something. So, we can easily pull the meter reads from Samsara. That wouldn't be, if you're wanting to automate that, we can pull I believe they've offered us the ability to pull the reports, what do you call it? The drivers, my brain is not there with you guys. When the driver does his checklist, that's basically the best answer I can have.
DVIRs.
Thank you. I knew there was a term for it. So when they're doing their vehicle inspections and they're putting that together, I believe they said we can glean some data from that they'll expose for us. So I think we can pull that, from Samsara, but we'll have to see once we get into it. We haven't gotten into Samsara yet, but that's the next thing coming is to change again, get yes, there'll still be a place where you can manually change a meter read if something automated meter read came in somehow and it blew its brains out with some bad number. We want to make that, very painless to change. So you just go in and make the change, you change the date, you change the amount, and it won't really matter. So it still sounds like we need to have some kind of preventive maintenance at this point. Doesn't seem like we can just kind of drop it because of the cost involved.
We would prefer preventive maintenance through Cogitate, just
Okay.
so it's all in one system. I mean, that was my selling card to Nick, was like, let's get rid of that side program and utilize one program that has everything in one place.
Okay. Well, it'll be
That
better.
makes sense.
I mean, we're okay. So
I
Go ahead,
think
go-
from our perspective, I think we'd like that. We're looking at going to Samsara or something like that. We're trying to figure out what direction we want to go with that. But ideally, like for me, I'd like to be able to connect our inventory, all of our accounting and all of our auditing, everything through one piece of the puzzle, not have to go outside and try and bring
yeah,
in,
it's
other reporting from Samsara or something to back something up in an audit. So I'd like it all there.
okay. All right. Makes
yeah, I
sense.
guess
All right.
that's-
So then let's go back to our initial conversation of preventive maintenance. Do you guys have any opposed to just having 5 different meter types and somehow you got to figure out how to use them?
As long as you got hours and miles,
There'll be hours, miles, usage, fuel, and
yearly maybe or something like that.
well,
Or per use thing.
that every one of those will have a date range on it. So, if it's hours, it'll be this is the number of hours we want. Plus the preventive maintenance will have days. Days is our 5th one, but we're always going to have days, I think and if you don't want days, you just put in 0 or I think 10 million either one. So in
Big
20 in 2066 somebody will bring in this piece of equipment because it finally hits your day range because you put in 10,000 days.
For us, what I would say is like, if we could generate a work order worthwhile and we could add stuff from our Samsara into it, but I don't have to go and resolve these issues in 2 places would be the best thing.
Yeah, I like to work with you guys. Joe, can't quite make the road commission out of your
The Montcalm County Road Commission.
Montcalm. Okay. Guys, stay in touch with me on this because I really want this to, my email is president@cogitatinc.com. Shoot me emails so I can, or everybody should shoot me an email on this so I can get you at least the recording of this so that you can see the recording. I'm not going to open this up to everybody, so don't worry about that. But like I said, I really do want to get this in clean this up and get this in a place where it's useful for you guys.
Could you go through and show us like generating a work order right now, because we don't use it.
We honestly don't use your system to make a work order. So
okay, so unfortunately this is the new stuff that we're still working on. So let me bring up the what we currently have, which you'll say, oh man, I can see why we're redoing it. The new one's nice. I mean, it really does have a lot of nice features to it, but It's just one of those deals. So if we go into equipment and we go into equipment mate, and this is our old equipment mate, which you've probably seen before. And we're just going to play with this crawler dozer because we like it. We go to preventive maintenance. We have one item in here that's an oil change. So if I want to maintain that, here's what the preventive maintenance look like. So we have a stop date, a start date. Does anybody use those that's been using our system?
I'm not using dates.
No,
Okay. Does anybody use this exclude? Because this stuff complicates like crazy the
No.
logic that we have to write. And so if I can drop off the stop and start, because it's just, hey, look, you added it, it starts to get started. Okay, so this is right now, this oil change, just for instance, is every hours. And so it comes up every 300 hours that we come in for a meter read on this particular equipment. And then it looks like we've never done it. So it, comes in here and says we've never done it. How about the parts required? Is anybody playing with this where you're saying, when they do this oil change, these are the parts they should pick from the thing? Is anybody filling this out and that is using our preventive maintenance? Is this something you would want? This is so that when they generate the work order, they say these are the parts you should be using from the parts category and the quantity that should be in use. But it doesn't really mean that that's what they took from the shelf and that's what they use, because I think this is overkill. I think this again is just, yes, in a big Ford, in a big shop that you're doing this stuff for, you might want to do this, but you guys, your mechanic knows.
we're basically using it after the fact. So if
Right.
we
You're using that after the part's been posted. If I go look at a work order, you would see what parts were done for that work order.
exactly. But the only problem, and that was the only problem with it is, what I'd like to see is yes, with the part number or the number that we've used is in there, but there's no description.
Yeah, that's all going to change. Don't worry about that.
Okay, all right.
That's the way I found to look and see what's been used or whatever is go into history, inventory parts.
Right.
or-
So again, nobody's really filling this out so that when the preventive maintenance comes up, it automatically puts this on the work order. Because that's what it does. It basically puts these items on the work order. From when I've looked at different databases, I've not seen anybody that is doing that. That's why I'm asking here. If nobody's doing it, let's not have this extra. This is nonsense to me. I don't, in my world, in your world, I don't see it helpful.
Brings me to my next question. We don't have the barcode scanner, but we are talking about possibly looking into that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we were to generate a work order, could we scan them parts to that
Yep.
work order automatically? And then when we conclude that work order, it automatically bills them out so there's no manual entry anymore.
It bills them out when you scan them.
Okay, so you just type in equipment number.
Well, I should come back. It bills them out when you import them. It puts them in a temporary holding area and then you import them into the system so it comes in as a proper batch because we didn't want the barcode gun to have to know about what the damn price is.
Right.
So the barcode gun is just saying, look, I use 4 quarts of this oil number on this truck. That's what it keeps track of.
But
And
the
then when you-
Samsara does keep track of that. So if we could tie the work order from the Samsara to the Cogitate, because we have the barcode scanner that has
Yep.
all of our parts, and then we're doing all of our work orders through Samsara. So we're having to manually enter stuff into Cogitate. If we could have those two talk, then
Whose
that
barcode? You have the Samsara barcode?
No, we
Good.
have the Cogitate barcode scanner for all of our inventory.
Right.
All of our inventory is in Cogitate, and we use a
Okay.
barcode scanner. So all of our truck information is in Cogitate, or
Okay.
in Samsara. So
Okay.
actually, it's in both.
Right.
So if we could have those two talk, then that would eliminate everything. We could do a work order, and that would tie all the barcode scanned parts right into that. That would go into Samsara, and then we could run reports, and we would know the
It's
cost.
possible. I don't know if Samsara is going to let us upload.
Samsara gives all of their information. Every other software that we're using is tied to Samsara. Our GIS is tied to Samsara. Our Fleet Pass, our Snow Pass is all tied to Samsara.
A
All
lot
of
of it
our
though is
truck information
it's read. It's not right. That's the thing I'm saying.
It's what?
It's read. I can only read information from Samsara. What they'll give me, they're very stickly about what I'm allowed to add to them. So in other words, you're saying if I took a part from our barcode gun and said, we want that to also go up to the Samsara's work order to say we put this part on that work order, they don't want me doing, they are real restrictive on those.
No, I want the work order to go through Cogitate. I
Okay.
just want the hours and all of the information from the truck to go into Cogitate from Samsara.
Yes,
We don't have to
that's
enter
a-
them.
absolutely. That's all read. Yes.
No, I
That's-
just
that's
want them
happening.
to talk to each other, and whatever information they can share is less information that we got to manually input.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree.
Agreed.
Yeah. We got to pull it down. It's just running who, when something is due for preventive maintenance. So like I said, I want to see, Macom, you guys with you, Samsara there, I want to see how you've got that PM stuff set up so that we can take a peek at, I want to take a peek at how that's put together because, and then, I think Mike, who's on Tanagan? I keep getting it mixed up.
It's Ryan Dayhut.
Oh, Ryan, I believe I've made the contract with Samsara to use the Ontonagon credentials for them to be able to, for us to be able to do our development.
Oh,
So I'll be working with you pretty closely with your data and the way you've got it set up to pull that together because they won't give me my own copy unless I buy it. So
yeah.
Are you still working with Andrew on that, or did that switch over to Dylan as well?
that is on. I'd have to look up the last email. I got passed off to the next guy. So Andrew, I
So
think
you're
is
working with Dylan now. Then
yeah.
Yeah, we work with Dylan too.
Yeah.
all right.
I think I'm not working with Dylan. I think I'm working with one of their programmers. So I'm a little bit deeper into it than that. So,
Okay.
but yes, I mean they're the managers, and they're saying yes, you can do this, or no, I can, and then they've got to give me the rights to the program. There is a sandbox that we're playing with a little bit, but every 3 or 4 days we sign in and the credentials don't work anymore for us to sign in, so it's pissing us off. But okay, but like I said, we didn't buy it, so I can understand their hesitation. But what I want to do is I really want this to be, something that if you guys got Samsara, and there seems like a lot of you that do, why not just plug in, I want to plug into it to get I know I can get the meter reads, but the reading of the meters on Samsara is a little bit tricky because there's 3 different kinds of meters you can grab that I've understood. You have a mileage meter that comes off of the maintenance, the DIV reports. You can get the mileage meters that comes off of from the last time it was put in, how many GPS mileage did it, because they're tracking the GPS of the vehicles, how many GPS mileages it had. And then there's another mileage that it does from some other category that I can't remember off the top of my head that you can get. So it's like, which one do you guys want to use? Because they all have their own particular flavors to accuracy. When I talk to them about what they use for preventive maintenance, they use all 3. So I'm like, well, that's exciting. So again,
Ours
just
is
different
all
things like that.
mileage. I mean,
Yeah, it's all based off the ECM that's on the Samsara.
Yeah, but the ECM isn't necessarily a single mileage. Isn't the ECM that's the one that's the GPS mileage, I think.
No,
ECM? No.
no, that's exactly what you're seeing on the dash is same
Right.
thing.
Oh, that's the one that comes off the computer reading.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
And
Sorry,
what screen you go to, they all match and they're all the correct mileage.
Oh no, they don't all match internally. I mean, you guys don't, sorry, I don't want to say anything bad about it. Internally, it's different because the GPS mileage is trying to take the difference between the locations of the last 2 GPSs and add that to a mileage meter, and they keep track of that as well on the side of the other mileages you have. I don't know if you follow that.
Must be we can't see that then.
Yeah,
You don't see that. I'm sure they don't expose that. I see that data, but that's the thing. I say, give me the mileage table. Whoo, do I get a lot of data back? And it's like, what?
Yeah, we have a few trucks that we've replaced speedometers in, and I've done the math and everything. Of course, the ECM mileage is correct, and I've done
Right, but the preventive maintenance, yeah. Yep. Okay, well, I don't want to spend a lot of time on Samsara right now. All right, so if going back to certain things, so we can drop the bill of material. This is what we call the bill of materials for the parts required. So I want to drop that in the new because I don't think having that is a feature that we need unless anybody here is using it and think they would want to have that. Okay, so
No.
this is how we set up, maintenance for an oil change. So if you want to do a new one, you come in here new, you put a code in here, 3, you give it a name. We're going to call this one grease. We have different variety of types. We have a variety of categories you can type in. Oh, I did new equipment. Sorry. Hang on. I'm doing a new piece of equipment. This is what gets frustrating about this.
Can you also check the chat messages?
Oh, chat messages. I am so sorry. I have not. My chat screen disappeared from my Zoom. That was up when I did my share the meeting. Okay, so let me go through here real quick. I just want to catch everyone. Okay, so earlier on, Roscom would like to have something built out of Cogitate as well, purchasing versus purchasing. Okay, so yeah, we want to build something then. That's clear. We are starting to use the parts required at Roscommon. So, well, Roscommon has got they're starting to use the parts, and other people are using the parts required. Really? Dang it. All right. It complicates a lot, but all right. Like I said, I'm just trying to keep things as simple as possible.
What's another way then, George, if you have a grease or a service coming up, I mean, it's kind of nice to know what oil you need to use, what the
Well, yeah, the Cogitate codes for the oil, the hydraulic to use. The issue is it gets stale, and that's kind of on you guys. It becomes yet another manual thing you're going to have to keep up to date on each of your things. But if we group, and that's the other side of this. If this gets grouped, if we want to group the preventive maintenances together so that you add a group to a vehicle, each vehicle's oil might be different.
Yeah, but couldn't you build different schedules that say this group of pickups is in this schedule takes?
Oh no, you can build many groups. Yeah.
However, or
yeah, we could do that. Yeah. I mean,
that
clearly.
Would probably be the easiest way.
Okay. Because generally all your F-150s are going to be F-150s. It's not like you're going to get different oil on them.
I would assume that everybody's vehicles are fairly similar.
Yeah, no, you usually get, a fleet of GM, but I do have somebody that has that one Freightliner out in the back. Can never get a part for the damn Freightliner. No, so yes, I understand that. Okay, so
I can kind of show you that when we talk about Samsara or whatever, our different schedules that we have.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see how they do that, how they would better do that, because in my mind, like I said, I don't live in you guys' world, so it's really hard for me to put together something really nice and clean, because like I said,
come on down for a week. We'll put a chair in for you.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So basically you're trying to see it. That's how you would set up a thing. And then you would come into another program in here called Generate Work Order Calc. You give it a date. You click OK. It says there's 120 PMs at this point, and all it gives you is just the truck number. And ours, the new one, is going to give you a whole slew of information, listed out here, whether you want to do it or not. And then you basically just generate a work order. I'm not going to generate a work order because of the time it would take.
Sure.
So if we just go in to look at work orders. I clicked it already. There we go. So if we just go in and look at a work order, this is kind of what they look like with all the task and everything. And then if you look at parts on here, this is the parts that were actually charged to the work order. And then if you have direct inventory, then this would be any direct non-inventory parts that you would have.
And that's the part I was talking about, is when you go into parts, you see that inventory code.
Right.
Well, unless there's no description, And
No,
then
like,
we
like I
also,
said, this is this is
Yeah.
horrific. Okay, guys, this like tell you this is you have to you have to memorize every piece of equipment code and what the hell it is, and every damn inventory code and what the hell it is to really use this. And so this is really only useful in my mind after you've been at the place for 15 years, to be honest, the way I look at it.
Nope.
So if we compare it with, where we're heading, I think I still have it up. If we come into like work orders here, and I can probably pick a work order. I don't know if it has it. If I go to the work order history list and I load it, nope. I don't think it's programmed in yet. So, but basically what would happen, let me see if I can at least get the, yeah, you get your effective date, your source, your equipment number, parts history, you get the source, the inventory code, the description, you get the quantity, the amount, work order line, the journal number it was posted in. You get a whole bunch more information in your parts history to be able to find it. And then just so you know, all of these fields, usually you can move them around to say, look, I don't really want to see that, so I want to put it way back over here. So it's, you can kind of hide some of the things and just put at the front what you really want to see. So I mean, we're trying to make it, a little bit more nicer to work with, at least visually on the computer. And that, like I said, this will be coming, pretty quickly, but we still have issues on preventive maintenance side of it. As far as calculating and figuring out and setting up preventive maintenance. So on the new, again, we're going to have, preventive maintenance system. So if I go to the category and I want to do a new one, you just click new, and now I'm here. We don't have any PM system set up, so I want to do a tire change. If you have mechanic classes, again, how many people specify does anybody use the mechanic class right now in the system to say this is the type of mechanic that can do this PM, or that can do this, that has the qualifications for this PM? Are we doing, because I don't think we're assigning anything like, the mechanic, this is Jack in the back, he's the guy who can do all the electronics, but so we don't want him messing with tires, but we got a new mechanic that does the tires and the oil changes. Does anybody do any of that, or is it just here's the paper, do what you can do?
yeah, we're doing after the fact again.
So here's the paper, here's the printout, you pick it up. If you qualify to do it, you do it, you can do it.
That's what at least we do, yeah.
Okay, is there a reason anybody would want to have us build all this into it? Because again, I think this is just extra nonsense.
So what kind of operation has that many people available that they can actually, I mean, our guys are all jack of all trades, so.
Yeah, I like I said, at the road commission level, I'm looking at, this was put together way back when yeah, so most places wouldn't really use it. I think so, like I'm trying to uncomplicate this if you can't tell.
The only reason why, if you open up a work order and you want to know who the mechanic was that worked on it at the time,
that you'll be able to tell, because you can, once you bring up we're in preventive maintenance right now, but if I bring up a work order, we will have on here the in the history list, you can bring up the labor history. You'll see who worked on it.
yeah, other than that, then I don't think we'd really need that other one. My opinion.
And then also with the notes, the mechanic notes they could say, put in their name and their thing. A lot of places are doing all of this through the MyWork. So as the mechanic is posting his time card, he's specifying the work order, the number of hours, and his notes, and it fills into here. So. But again, the new system's not quite out there yet. There's, we're still working on it, but I'm trying to reduce my work.
I think you'd have to be someone like Oakland County where somebody.
Yeah, I mean, we have Jackson County Road Commission, but they went to some fancy online, just like kind of like Samsara, but even more complicated and more expensive.
Now, once we generate a work order, would we have the ability to assign that through MyWork to a mechanic?
No, we don't assign work orders. It's just once it's generated, you print it out, and the goal was to keep it simple. You print it out, put it on a clipboard, and you put the clipboards out for your mechanics to come and pick up and do.
That's fine.
You know, so there wasn't a whole, you know, this is a mechanic, we assign it to it. We didn't feel like that was something was really needed.
The only reason I ask is because you can do that through Samsara. So I didn't know if that was something that could merge.
We could, I mean, we can add that in. I mean, if that's something you guys, if you know, enough of you say we want that, then we'll add it. It's not like,
It's just it's just one less manual entry thing. I mean, we all know how, you know, how much manual entry is involved in
right,
that.
right. So why would you, you know, I mean, in Samsara, how is that assignment made? You still have to manually make that assignment?
No, I click on the mechanic's name.
Well, this is my point. We'd be the same thing here, but you still have to click on the mechanic's name. So it's still a manual entry to do it. It doesn't automate anyway to say this is the mechanic that should do this.
So long as we don't have to type every little thing in.
That's my point.
Mhm.
You know, we're trying to get you guys to that point with this side. You know, like I said, with this new stuff I'm showing, this is what we're trying to get to. Where there's this, and then estimated labor hours. Does anybody use these estimates? We have estimated labor. We have estimated vendor amount. Hours lost. Does anybody keep track of hours lost?
No.
No.
Estimated parts amount for something coming in?
No.
If we could just track how much time was billed to that piece of equipment by a mechanic would be fine.
Yeah, we already have that.
You know, all the rest of that would mean nothing to us for the most part.
That, you know, my point is, you know, like I said, I think we have a lot of fancy dancy things here that just complicate these screens and make them that much harder to use because you gotta teach yourself to ignore that.
I agree with that.
Oh, somebody's trying to say something.
Said I agree with that. The less stuff on those screens, the better.
Okay.
I mean, if nobody's using those estimated parts and hours,
You know, why do we keep it? You know, like I said, when I've looked at some of the older databases, even Jackson's that's been using us for years, there's like maybe 4 work orders in their whole system that have that. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about the last part, meters and getting in readings. We have a way to import meter readings from if you have other places that you have them, like a CSV file you can get from something, or a Excel spreadsheet that you have them in somehow. We can import them, just so you know. We can import fuel readings normally, but once you have a fuel reading, you can come in here, and we're going to get rid of life reading. I think that's just the way that we are trying to do that is not needed anymore. So meter readings is where I want to head to here. I think, like Joe, you guys were saying you had a couple places where you actually did change out a meter. What was that like? I mean,
What was that again? I'm sorry.
You guys said you had changed out some meters on, a different piece of equipment. What was the process for that in Samsara? What did you really need to do there?
Yeah, so we did it before we ever had Samsara, but
okay.
All we did was, like, the way we used to track our mileage is we had that wrote down or off to the side, and then you add that mileage to get your actual ECM mileage. But once we got Samsara, it was actually different than what we had wrote down. So I got actual mileage, did the math, added it to our PM sheets. So now when the mechanic does a service or whatever, they write down the mileage that they did it at, and it matches what we have on Samsara.
Yep. Okay, Roger's asking a question. What about the ability to tie in the driver inspection daily DOT report? Absolutely. We'll be getting it when, if you have that through Samsara, we will be pulling in different mileages from that. But basically, we're going to grab mileage. We're going to have a button, if you would, per Samsara that will bring in basically all the data for all the equipment that currently that's on the dongle, I think, that you have in there for the mileage that comes off of the actual vehicle piece.
We
And
don't,
then,
what if we don't have that through Samsara? So it'd be
okay,
something that we would want just in the Cogitate software.
okay, we don't have a DOT report in our system right now. Do we want us to add one?
Yes. Is that
Okay. So we could probably, we could put something, yeah, we could use my work to do that, or we could do, my guess is we'd probably have something in addition to my work that would do that, because I don't want to, my work is mainly for payroll and you know, your employees. You don't really need, you know, the office staff to going in and doing a driver report.
Yeah, don't mess that up. Finance director will smash you.
Yeah, but we could do something that's an online that they could use their cell phone to do. I would anticipate, but the driver inspection report, there is a specific layout, there's a specific data that needs to be on it, I believe. So I don't know that world. I don't know what that is. If someone wants to educate us on that, it's not like we don't have the ability to do it. We just don't have the education of what it is we need to do. If that makes sense to any of you guys.
What about the fuel data? Could you pull that from Samsara too?
Absolutely, but we also pull that from many of the other fuel vendors as well. Petrovend, we have like 6 other fuel vendors we do it from. That we've had this all along, but nobody realizes that, you know, if you went into equipment, import fuel readings has a list here, except the new one doesn't. So if I go back to the old one, import fuel readings. Basically, these are all the ones that we currently have, and if there's something special that you need, we can certainly add one. So like Jackson's Auto Gas, we can just import it. You give us, well, I give it a date, we'll give it today's date, I don't matter. And then we can import it, and we pick up there's a file that their auto gas generates, and we just read that file in, and it automatically posts all the fuel to the equipment. I don't know if you realize we've had that all along.
Well, we have to manually input our fuel because we don't have that technology on our fuel island. But the fuel usages that goes through Samsara. That could be inputted.
So somebody's manually entering that into Samsara.
No, we have to manually enter that into Cogitate, but we can generate fuel reports through Samsara. So if that had the read capabilities, then you could automatically input that as well.
I could, yes. The question would be, is that's a fuel usage, not necessarily how much fuel was put in and what was the dollar amount. That's where we got to be careful, because sometimes we got to make sure we have that dollar amount. I need to know how much. I don't think Samsara has how much. They just have the quantity that's been used. You know, it used 4 gallons, not 4 gallons at 65 cents a gallon.
Gotcha.
You see it?
I understand.
Yeah. In the end, this is accounting. All right, so again, meter reading, going back to here. I want this to have the ability to have a lot less. It should be a lot more forgiving is my best answer. If you've been using our current system, you know it's not very forgiving if they got a bad read coming in. To make a correction or something like that, it's not very well. So I want to basically do that, and then I want meter changes to be a special thing, because it really is. It's only done every, you know, again, how many places have had meter changes besides Joe over there at Montcalm? You know, how many places do we have that have had meter readings that have been a lot of meter readings? You know, a lot of, not meter readings, but a lot of meter changes, you know, where you know, how many engines do you want to put into a car? And if you tell me that that's something that happens a lot for different types of equipment, then we'll make it better. But I think it's so special that we just want it to be special. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not a huge issue for us. I mean, it happens once in a while. You got an hour meter on a piece of equipment that malfunctions and quits working, and you put in a new one. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not very often. So,
So then at the time you put it in, you just have to know what the current hour thing said that was broke, and then you basically say, what's the starting new hour one that I have? And so we can do the math. Then we
Yeah.
can do the math internally when you put in the next hour reading, that's 31. Yeah.
exactly. Right. Yeah, it's that basic. So it's not a real issue here.
Okay. But if it was a special thing and not necessarily just you can plug it in anywhere, any place, that makes more sense to us.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So let me give my last little spiel about where we're at with Samsara, and then we can I'll be open to any other kind of questions you would have about where we're heading. So Samsara has reached out to us, of course, and we've been working a little bit with them on a sandbox mode, but we've had some struggles with communication with them. They promised me, though, that when we finally get the Ontonagon credentials going with them, that we will be able to get a much better response from their team, because we show up as a non-purchased user, and so we get low priority when we have a question on all of their stuff. So, but that will be coming as part of our new rollout for preventive maintenance and equipment maintenance and work orders. So, ideally, the thought pattern would be July of this year would be the rollout of this. Pieces of it will roll out that will be compatible with our current system. But for the most part, this will kind of get a big rollout of the whole thing at once. So there'll be a lot. Remember, though, in our system, there's always this little thing, if you didn't know about it. If you hit an item that you don't know what it is and you do that, you can watch a video on it. We'll have all the videos set up. So that'll be helpful to do. So just, when you get the new ones, there'll be new videos out there for all the new, pieces of information. So when you watch it, you should at least be able to get some kind of information from it. We will try to do any kind of one-on-one workshops with anybody that needs it. That's perfectly in our view plan. So again, that's coming, just so you're aware. And then, honestly, guys, I'd like to have this start to be used by more and more places, even places that may have switched to something else. See if you can get them to switch back, because it doesn't make sense that they're paying for another piece for something that now we do just as well. Provided we do it just as well. That's the the goal is the goal is we want to be there to provide it just as well. So again, I want to work, the closer we can work together, the better we'll be. All right. So first I'm going to leave it to Paul. Is there anything I'm missing, Paul? Paul might not be on. Okay. So my thinking then, we don't have any more questions that came in on there. Is there any questions anybody has about any of this? I appreciate all your time you've given me today. Thank you so much. It will only make the system better when we, all work together like this.
I don't think we have any more questions. If you have any questions as far as how Samsara works or any kind of stuff like that, reach out.
Yeah, no, Joe, I'm gonna probably nag you guys because you're different than, and I'll be getting with Ryan at Ontonagon in a little bit. But I want to make sure we get this. We still have parts on our side that we want to tidy up beforehand based on today's conversation. We want to drop some fields, clean up some of the stuff so it's much simpler on the, how we do it. The groups, I'm not positive how we want to do the groups yet. I'm thinking, we'll try to do something there, but my guess is we probably will just have the copy like we do now, just so that we maintain current people's, work that they've put together so far.
But George, once you get this kind of ironed out here in the next couple months, are we going to have a kind of a final meeting before the rollout just to see if?
Oh yeah, no. There's going to be I plan on this just so you guys go that. Just so everybody knows, if you send me the email, I'll send a direct, you may not be part of our normal link that we do for most of the accounting side, But I'll send a link out to everybody for our next go around when we start to have a little bit more to show and tell. And it works, and what we show and tell will work, in other words. Today was just, we just got done doing a bunch of changes and it's like, I didn't like the direction we were heading for a lot of it. So it was, that's why I wanted to have this initial meeting to say, what can we strip out of this and what are we doing that makes it difficult? So I kind of get the feel of where we're at is mainly the readings. We need those readings to be easy to do and automated as much as possible, as well as the work order generation, and everything needs to be much more dynamic as far as what it tells you and what information you get when it's time to make a work order.
You could just make it so we can talk to it and it just types it in. It'd be great.
I think we could do that. Actually, you can do that now if you just if you just go down the bottom and put Siri on. All our screens work with automated voice, by the way, if you didn't know that.
Really? Excellent.
Yep. But the problem is you go or and
Right.
it puts it in your document. So yeah, or shut the fuck up.
Right.
Oops. Delete.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's fun. All right. Anybody else? Thank you all for attending. Like I said, I'll send out anybody who sends me an email, send out the link to the recording of this so you can watch it again if you feel like it. If you get, if you have insomnia tonight and you need to get to sleep, you can turn it on, watch it again. Otherwise, again, thanks for your time, and don't hesitate to reach out to basically start with me. My extension is 9, so I'm going to offer that up and get with me direct. If you call the support line, they're still tied up with year end and taxes. So I'm the one spearheading the equipment, so I'll be the one to talk to.
You are now working smarter with ProFund Accounting. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.